Hello, students. I'm Dr. M. Bhushan, Professor in Zoology, Maharani Science College for Women, Bangalore. Today, we will learn another topic of environmental science related to tribal population and rights of them. The dwellers who have certain of traditions to follow are called scheduled tribes. They occupy special areas within the forest. In simple, the scheduled tribes who live in the forest area are generally referred as tribal population. Students, remember, they are the human beings who are given the permission to use the land for self-cultivation for the livelihood of them. So they are into two important positions. One is vulnerable stakeholders, the second one is ecological custodians. So these tribal people are given this power of usage, the legitimate power of usage of the forest areas through Forest Rights Act 2006. So according to this act, they are granted with the land and they are allowed to use the products of the forest. They also have rights over the habitat areas of the forest. The law also recognizes their traditional ecological knowledge related to the environmental aspects of the forest. The Community Forest Resource Rights under Section 3 of 1 and I are first says that scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers are provided with the recognition of the right to protect, regenerate, and conserve as well as manage the forest areas. The Section 3, Subdivision 1B, Subdivision 1C gives them the right over non-timber forest products to sustain them, to have their livelihood continued in a smoother way. They have a right to have ownership on the land what they occupy of a maximum of 4 hectares for the agricultural purposes. They can use the forest land for grazing purposes. If are allowed to move to a newer area due to a project execution, then such a rehabilitation phenomenon and resettlement processes to be taken care by the government for the better life sustenance. They are also given rights to manage the forest cover. They are used to protect, regenerate, conserve, manage the forest resources. In India, according to 2006 Forest Rights Act, this provision is very much given to the tribal people. They can occupy any land, use their traditional lands, forest resources, and enabling them to cultivate land for livelihood. The traditional customary practices can be used by these tribes in order to preserve the biodiversity and protect the cultural heritage. Tribal population are generally referred to as environmental stakeholders because their dependence on natural resource is quite common in the forest area for their livelihood to sustain. And they are also involved in protecting the ecosystem through their cultural practices. Due to their reliance on natural resources, tribal communities are vulnerable to climate change impacts. So, they show certain of traditional practices to minimize or to mitigate these vulnerable climate change impacts. They are involved in managing the community forests and the areas as community forest reserves. They use their traditional ecological knowledge with the environment in order to maintain and preserve the ecosystem. So they are involved in conservation of the forest. The tribal communities are also made to involve in decision-making processes because they have better knowledge in environmental management. So this is about the tribal population of the forest and their rights involved in preservation and management of the forest areas. Thank you, students.